Hello everyone, and welcome to another video designed to support my course It's Never Too Late to Learn IT. In this video we're going to look at some of the features of Word that I introduce you to by asking you to design a leaflet. So I'm going to start with a new blank document, and then because I want a leaflet that folds into 3, I'm going to change the page layout from portrait to landscape. And you do that by coming up here to the Layout tab, choosing Orientation and changing from Portrait to Landscape. I'll just zoom out a little bit using the percentage controls at the bottom right of the screen so that you can see the full page on the screen. I want my leaflet to look something like this example that I've used in the course, so I need 3 columns. So if you notice, on the Layout tab, we also have an option for columns. There's a little downward pointing arrow, so as ever there's a drop-down list of choices. So I'm going to click on that arrow, tap if you're using a touch screen, and I want 3 columns. You won't see anything at this stage, but trust me, there are 3 columns now in your leaflet. Just coming away from the leaflet for a few minutes, I'm just going to show you using a page break. Now, if you're typing a short document, you probably won't need to use a page break. But if you're typing a longer document, such as this course that we're looking at here, I use page breaks to make sure that text stays where you want it to. So, for example, if you want to start the next bit of text, as I have on here, on the next page, the simplest way to, or the safest way to do that is to use a page break, because if I now go back to the previous page and I type something into this blank space, I'll just type any old thing, okay, so I filled in a lot of that space with some text, and if I just scroll down you should see that the heading to the next page has remained where it was. And that's because I used a page break to start that page. I'm just going to go back up and delete that text. Now first of all, I'll show you how I know that there was a page break in there. There's a handy little icon on your ribbon which, if you point at it, says Show Hide. Now if I just click on that, you see all the hidden characters that have been entered into your document. So this little icon here represents every time you press the Enter key, and this here tells me I inserted a page break. Now if I delete that page break, and I'm going to do this using the Del key on the keyboard, you'll see that the text that's on the next page comes back. Now if I now press the Enter key, and this is what a lot of people do, press the Enter key to send that heading onto the next page. Now watch what happens if I re-enter that text that I deleted. So this represents you deciding that you want some more text in that blank space. But now if I just go down to the next page, you'll see that that heading has started to move down the page. So a page break is a safe way of ensuring that that next page always starts at the top of the page and doesn't move if you start adding text in the blank space above it, or even adding an extra page above it. Your new page will always start at the top of a new page. So I'm just going to go back up and delete that extra text that I've just added. Delete some of the extra Enter key presses that I put in. And now I'm going to add my page break. And the quickest and easiest way to add a page break is to hold down the CTRL, the control key on your keyboard, and just press the Enter key. And that will quickly and easily insert a page break. I'm now going to turn off Show Hide. So we're going to use a page break in our leaflet, even though it's only going to be 2 pages, because that will ensure that every time we enter anything onto one page, it doesn't then force any of the text we've entered on the second page to move around. So I've come back to my leaflet now, which remember is in landscape orientation and has 3 columns. As this leaflet is divided into 3 columns, I hope you can see that as I'm typing, the text is just restricting itself to the first column. I'm now going to show you a column break, because the next bit of text that I want to type is going to go into the middle column. And in the same way as I just showed you for page breaks, if I just press the Enter key to keep moving my typing cursor down until I get to the top of the next column, like this, if I just do this till my Enter key is in the next column and enter some text, let's say I'm going to put the address and the contact details for my community lunch scheme. And so on. If I then decide that I want to go back into the previous column and add some extra text, you'll see, even just pressing the Enter key, you'll see that the text in the middle column starts to move down the page. Well, you can prevent that from happening by, instead of pressing the Enter key to move into the next column, by adding a column break. Exactly the same way that you can prevent the text on one page moving down if you add text to the previous page by using a page break. So this time, instead of pressing the Enter key, I'm going to insert a column break. And you do that by selecting the Layout tab on your ribbon and then selecting Breaks, clicking or tapping on the little downward pointing arrow, and I'm going to select Column Break. You won't see anything particularly happen, but notice that my typing cursor is now at the top of the next column. So if I now add my contact details and then come back to the previous column to add some extra text, you'll see that the text in the center column has stayed where it is because I've added a column break. And I can show you that column break by going to the Home tab, pressing the Show Hide button to show all the hidden characters, all the enter characters, and here you can see my column break. So I've gone ahead, added another column break at the end of the second column and added the front page text on the third column. Now remember, when you're designing a leaflet and it's going to fold into 3, the cover page, the front page, is this column, the right hand column of your page. This is the back page, and this page will fold inside. Trust me, just get a piece of paper, write A, B, C, fold it into 3 and see where they come. This is your cover page, this is your back page, and this is the page that folds inside. I now want to type out the menu. So the menu is going to go inside the leaflet, and I want to put in a page break so that my menu starts on the next page. So as I showed you before for page break, I'm going to hold down the Control key, press the Enter key, and that is going to start a new page where I can now type my menu. And you can type your menu in 3 columns because at the moment your document is set up for 3 columns. So I'll just go ahead and add a bit of text. So I've gone ahead and added the menu to the inner page of my leaflet. Another little technique that I introduce you to when you're designing a leaflet is column spacing, which I can show you by going to our Another technique that I introduce you to when we're designing a leaflet is column spacing. And I can show you that by coming to the Layout tab, selecting Columns, and coming to More Columns. You're going to need twice as much spacing between the columns as you have for the left and the right margins. So if I come up here to Margins, you'll see at the moment my margins are set to normal, and my left and my right margins are 2.5 centimeters. Now that's quite large if you're designing a leaflet, so I'm actually going to change that to narrow. Now, as I've just said, we need twice as much spacing between the columns as we do to the left and the right. So our left margin and our right margin are now 1.27 centimeters. So we need twice as much between the columns. So that's going to be about 2.54 centimeters between the columns. So we come up here to columns, come to more columns, and we're going to change the spacing. You can use the up and down arrow keys, or you can click in the box. I'm going to click in the box, delete what's there, and change that to 2.5 centimeters and say OK. Now trust me, that just means that your leaflet will fold much more tidily than if you have the margins between the columns too narrow. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video, which is going to be find and replace.